We have a very special guest with us tonight, and as much as we love to have our guests, this is even more of a special guest. She's not only a phenomenal actress and a well-known actress, she's a good friend of mine, I'd like to think. And she's been everywhere and done everything. She's been on Broadway in Nine and Mulebone, and if I forget something, she'll let us know what it was, and on the national tour of Wicked, and she's played in the Royal Shakespeare Company in Britain, which is not something that many Americans get to do at all. And she's played in just about every regional theater of note in this country, the Goodman and Long Wharf. And she's here, and she's sitting with us in this room, and we were going to talk to her about the new play that she's in called Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girl play, which she will explain what that means. May I introduce Myra Lucretia Taylor to you, please? Hi there.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh,
it's
I'm
so nice
happy
of
you're
you to
here.
offer.
It's just delightful to see you.
It's good to see you.
Yes. So, are you a mean girl? Let's get that out of the way. Are you an African mean girl?
You know, I play the headmistress of the school, and some of the girls are mean girls, but they're just going through what girls go through.
Okay.
Well,
Were you a mean girl growing up?
I don't think so. You mean Myra, or do you mean Headmistress Francis?
Well, first one, then the other. Let's.
I don't think Headmistress Francis was a mean girl. I think she was on the receiving end of meanness from Eloise. And Myra,
Eloise being.
oh, the part that Zainab Jah plays.
This pageant is not nonsense. It is an amazing opportunity for a girl from our country to travel the world and represent Ghana. I must say, I am insulted that you would doubt my efforts. The MGU platform is a highly respected one.
Oh, you
Listen,
haven't changed a
Francis,
bit since
honestly,
secondary school. If it doesn't benefit you, who cares?
That's right. And look at what that attitude has afforded me, darling. I am Miss Ghana 1966. And here you are still trying to keep up with the popular girls, huh?
And here you are, still trying to be one.
Yeah,
We know her from Eclipse. We
That's
saw her
right.
in Eclipse.
Now, can you give us background of the show?
the
Just
show.
a quick synopsis.
It is about a young girl. She's a high school girl, secondary school, and she wants to go into the Miss Ghana pageant. She's very confident and kind of full of herself and loving herself, and she has her little clique there, and she's sure that she will be picked to go to the pageant. The recruiter comes in, and the recruiter has other ideas because there is another young lady there who is of fairer skin. And the recruiter thinks this will be more appealing to the people who are running the pageant. So we get Paulina, the first girl, her hopes are dashed, and it's just kind of heartbreaking what happens to her. And she has to fight her way through all of that to come to a greater sense of self.
And at the same time, she tries to destroy the other girl as well, because that's what mean girls do. They have to lash out in some way. It was really wonderfully done. I was very taken with it, and I identified with both sides of it at different times in my life. Something that I thought was amazing is that the realm, the wealth of different roles that you've played. You were the stage manager in the 50th anniversary at Long Wharf.
Of our town.
And then you were also Seregina in
Yes.
Nine on Broadway.
Oh,
Yes.
So talk a little bit
With
about
Antonio.
With Antonio.
talk a little bit about going from that
Antonio
kind of
Banderas,
from
I
one to
think
the
you
other. Yes,
should say.
Antonio Banderas. Talk a little bit about.
Well, they were many years apart, almost a decade. But I mean, all I've ever wanted from my career was to do interesting parts with interesting people and get paid a fair wage. And I've been so fortunate to do that. I mean, because I'm a brown-skinned woman of a certain size, and I think I could have gotten pigeonholed. And I don't think so much that has happened to me, and I'm very, very, very grateful.
Is that because of you? Have you done something to make sure that didn't happen, or did the world just go, oh, we're going to let Myra do whatever she wants to do?
You know, I really don't know. I don't know if it's something that is an outgrowth of having spent all those years at Williamstown. I don't know. I don't know if it's my expectations, but I'm grateful for it. And I was going to tell you all a funny story about Antonio.
Oh, please.
When we first started working on it, you know, because I have these bosoms here, and there was a
Thank you for
bustier.
bringing them with you tonight.
You're welcome. And so part of my costume was this kind of bustier thing. And we were doing it kind of normally, dancing on the beach. And at one point, Antonio said, you know, Myra, I think we can do more with the bosoms. And I didn't quite know what he meant, but that night on stage, before I knew it, his face was in my chest. And he was like that. And it was kind of wonderful.
How did you react the first time, though, when you didn't know it was coming?
It was kind of wonderful.
Oh, that is too much. Because we have footage of that, and it is just delightful. And we're going to share that with our audience, because who would not want to see that?
Take a chance and try to steal a fighting beast. Big Italian, Europe's Scandinavian. When we don't just hold, we hold this.
This was a very different interpretation of Nine from the original. I think Tommy Tune had everyone dressed in white, and
Well, half the show is white and half the show is black.
right. You had a more conventional color scheme.
Well, you know, that was not I was just an actor in it.
Right.
You know, the whole conceit belonged to David Laveau.
Now, this is interesting, because I wanted to talk to you about the RSC, and David Laveau was the person who cast you.
Well, he recommended me. It was Matthew Warchus who directed it. But David was one of the people who recommended me because he was good friends with Matthew.
And it's funny that there's a girl named Paulina in this, and you played Paulina
Yes.
in The Winter's Tale.
That's
and
right.
You just knocked everybody's socks off. I mean, you shone in that role. And
Oh,
it is a
thank
role
you.
that can get lost if the right actress doesn't play it. And
Oh, thank
you were
you.
brilliant. And I was just lucky enough to be in London at that time and get to see it.
I
So-
love playing it. I think by the time you saw it, was Michael in it, Michael Kumstein?
No, I did not
You
see
saw
it.
Doug Hodge.
I did,
Yeah,
yes.
Doug Hodge was
was-
Leontes. Isn't that great?
He was phenomenal.
Well, they both were great. It was
I
really
love
fun.
the concept of that. We'll talk about that later, but I love
And
the
you were in
concept of
Wicked.
that.
Yes, I did. I did the national tour of Wicked. I did it for 14 months. I wasn't so sure about tour because I'd never done a big old tour like that, you know, where you sit down 1 month in each city. But I loved it. And I kept hoping they would extend my contract, and they did, because I was supposed to be there only for 9 months, and I was there for 14 months. And I'm so proud to be part of that iconic musical. The iconic Cheryl Lee Ralph is doing it on Broadway, and of course,
Which role were you?
Madame Morrible.
Ah.
Yeah. So Cheryl Lee is the first woman of color to do it on Broadway, but I did it before her. So I'm very happy
So
that
the whole country saw you do it. They're seeing Cheryl Lee there, but the whole country saw you do it.
Now,
and I saw them.
curious at the process of touring. This was your first tour, so it must have been very exciting.
Well, it was my first big old production contract tour.
And how do they get you around? Do they have a bus?
We flew.
Oh, that's even better. So you had a plane.
No, that's a bus and truck tour. This is a national tour. They treat people very well.
Did they put you in business class or just coach?
Yeah, right.
You know, the saddest part of that, well, not maybe, was because I don't drive. Everyone in my family drives. Everyone drives. So it's not a New York thing. I don't drive. Part of my contract was that I was given a car, but I can't drive, so I couldn't use it.
You drove? Oh, wow! How
Why
many cast
did
members
they
got
give
cars?
you a driver? Why'd you ask for a driver? That would have been the smart
See,
thing to
I
do.
needed you. I needed you.
Okay, Leslie's going to be an agent next time.
No, but I did the bus and truck level of tours, so I never got any of that stuff. I mean, I was lucky if I had somebody to carry my suitcase.
You don't drive either.
No, I don't drive either, but I never got to big cities.
I've done those. I did a TYA tour. I've done those.
Yeah, those are not fun. They're not the same kind of thing. But anyway, so we're getting down to the idea that you are finishing this play. This play runs to the end of this month, which is December.
That's right.
Okay, then you get a little time off, and
Right.
then bingo.
Then I go into the Bangsons' new musical called The Lucky Ones. And I'm so excited because it's been a while since I've had a singing part in New York. So I'm really, really, really excited. And they're such a neat couple, the two of them. And they were just so nice in the singing portion
and
of
where is
this.
this playing?
Ars Nova.
Well, we haven't seen 100 Years yet. We're actually going to see it next week. So,
Oh,
and
good.
that's their story where they met. And within 2 weeks they were married or something.
Oh
like
yeah, I
that.
read a little bit about
Yeah,
that. They're
that's
really
the one we're going to see.
special.
And then they have this big play called The Lucky Ones coming up.
Is there something? Can you tell us about? I know it's a little hush hush.
Yeah, no, I can't because it's based on a true story, and it has to do with, I believe it's her family, and so just to kind of protect everyone's feelings and things, I was sworn to kind of not talk about it too much. So I said, okay, I can do
All
that.
right. But it opens in February, right?
Woo, I
So
think we
we-
do March and April.
So we will
rehearsing
find.
it.
So we will find out. You did a show that I enjoyed a few years ago, Mulebone.
Oh,
That
God,
was on
wasn't that
Broadway.
lovely?
It was.
It was, my mom, that's one of her favorite shows. And I only had about 6 lines in that, and I loved it so much because that character was the prototype for Janie and Their Eyes Were Watching God.
I didn't know that.
Oh my
And
God.
Zora Neale Hurston is such an iconic figure in literature, and her to finally get to see that. You
To
know,
see-
I've
and that
heard about it
language.
for so long.
Right, because Zora Neale, her background as an
Right,
anthropologist,
right.
and to kind of capture the authenticity of the language. And my mom, who grew up in a small southern town, it was earlier in my career, but she just loved it. I think she loved kind of seeing a life that she really recognized and
Right,
remembered.
this is basically a small town. Cast was entirely black,
Mm-hmm.
and basically there's 2 boys fight over a girl.
Mm-hmm.
One hits the other with a mule bone, and the whole town ends up taking sides. And I recall when we reviewed it, my partner at the time said, it was so interesting to see a play about a black community that totally ignored the white community.
Well,
It made it very interesting.
Zora's most of her things did that. And she was castigated and ostracized in some parts of the community for using the lingo of the time, for using the patois rather than making it sound. It was like what the Gershwins did in Porgy and Bess, except they were white and didn't have the right to do it, whereas she was an anthropologist and really found what the people sounded like. And it was embarrassing to people at the time. It's so interesting, and sociologically speaking, as to how
Well, I
times have
think
changed, hopefully.
political moves were trying to be made to get people of color on a more equal footing in America, and unfortunately, people felt we still had to prove that we could speak the language in a certain way. But hopefully now we're at a point where both things can be true.
It was just so interesting. Did you see Elizabeth Van Dyke's play on Zora?
No, I never saw Elizabeth do that.
Because it's such a sad story. I mean, she was at the very height of the Harlem Renaissance, and then the depths of, at the end of her life, just nothing, and poured like a Horatio Alger story almost, and just the luck of the draw, and the fact that she was a woman and a woman of color,
And an artist.
And
I
an
mean,
artist.
a lot of artists end
Yeah.
poorly.
But I mean, to have really made it, that's the thing. I mean, to the heights that she made it at that time.
I think the comforting thing is that she lived, it seems to me, a lot of her life on her own terms.
I think she
And that's
did. I
very
think she did.
comforting to me.
Everything I've read about it, Alice Walker did a lot of work on that. I
Yeah.
know. Well, anyway, listen, this has been fascinating. I don't know how much
Is it
we're gonna
over?
use.
Almost. Well, I have one final question for you. Is there
Sure.
a role that you'd like to play?
Oh, King Lear.
King Lear. Oh.
You mentioned that to me
can
before. I thought that was
see that.
happening at some point.
We began work on
Yeah.
it, but that's okay. I think there's still time.
Probably.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I think if you want it, it's going to happen. You being you.
But in the meantime, there is Schoolgirls, the African Mean Girls play. And, well, this lady's not mean. She is in it. Okay. Myra, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to play you out with you and Antonio.
Oh, my
We're gonna play
goodness.
it out and see it that way.
And that is our show for this evening. And when you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too.
On the aisle.
Take a chance and try to steal a violin gift. Big Italian.